iPhones still don't have a universal back button.
Apple doesn't have a back button, so clearly Samsung is better. Or is it? Let's talk about it. The debate between Android or Apple being better has been going on since Android or Apple have been competing. But recently there has been a video that's gone viral talking about how Apple doesn't have a back button and Android does, and that just makes it a much better ecosystem overall. But before I go any further, I just want to confirm, I've got an iPad, I've got an iPhone, but I've also got a Z Flip 7, the Galaxy Buds, and one of these Samsung watches. So I've used both ecosystems for a while, and there's one thing that stands out in one versus the other that makes it a complete deal breaker. And that's the customer service. Because I recently purchased my iPad and I dropped my Apple Pencil and a car ran over it and I had to get that replaced. At the same time, my Z Flip 7 got a big scratch on its screen and I have to get that replaced. So I called Apple and asked them if my iPad's Apple Care was going to cover the pencil. And they said yes. I just had to walk into a retailer, give it to them, and they would send out for a new one. The whole process took 5 minutes and there was a store about 15 minutes away from me. Easy peasy and done. These flip phones come with one free screen cover that can be replaced if it ever gets scratched within the first year. And then every other one after that is $20. So I go online to try to figure out where I can contact Samsung, and they've got no information. So I use their chat and they tell me to call the Samsung company. They give me the phone number, I call them, it's the US number, and they don't help Canadians. So they tell me that they can't help me and they give me a phone number to call. I call that number and that number is no longer in service and they want to charge me $3 to be able to connect me to the proper phone number. So I call Samsung Care Plus, which turns out to be the American number, which also doesn't help Canadians. So they give me the phone number to the Canadian branch. So I talk to Canadian Samsung Care Plus and they tell me that they don't handle these situations. They only deal with function, and this is cosmetic, so they give me a different Samsung number to call. I call that number and again, it's American and they tell me they can't help me. So then they transfer me directly to the Canadian number, which they tell me they can't do anything, that I have to go into one of their licensed retailers that's going to be able to fix it. So they give me the phone number to call these people. I now call this licensed repair place and they tell me they also don't do this repair, that they don't have the tools to be able to replace a screen protector. So I have to call a different Samsung store. But the person on the phone does tell me that there is a place that can do it that is a direct Samsung store, and it's almost 2 hours away from my house because there are no other ones near me. I call that store and they put me on hold for 40 minutes and no one picks up. Eventually I get a message saying they can't come to the phone, to call 1-888-SAMSUNG, and that I'll get help there, and then it hangs up on me. I call that number and it's out of service. Again, they're asking me to pay $3 for them to connect me to the new phone number instead of just giving me the new phone number. So I decide to go to the chat all over again, and the chat tells me that I can just send my phone in. It'll take a week or two for them to just change the screen protector, but at this point I'm fed up and I agree. It's now been 4 hours. I have still not received the email and the chat shut down and I can't contact anybody without starting the chat all over again. So who's better, Apple or Samsung? I'll never buy another Samsung product again because after 4 hours of trying to get help, I've got zero help from Samsung, and Apple took 15 minutes. I don't care it doesn't have a back button.